An ocean world in a solar system filled with shapers and mechanists. Those are the subjects of a couple of the books that I'm going to be talking about today, where I'm going to mention my current read, what I've just finished reading, and what's next on my TBR. Stay tuned. I want to start off the video by talking about a book I recently finished called A Door into Ocean by Joan Slonczewski. So I don't think I'm going to do a full video review of this, so I'll kind of just briefly talk about what I thought about the book. The setting of this is it's an ocean world. The population is human, but they're very I would say genetically modified to be kind of in tune and in balance with this ocean world. They're all female. They reproduce by parthenogenesis. So there are no males on the planet. They don't wear clothes. There's no inorganic technology. All the technology on this it's like plant life, ocean life, genetically modified organisms. The moon that they live on is called Shora, and the population is called the Sharers. And they have, in some ways, they are not an advanced technology population, and in some other ways they have very advanced technology. So they're very advanced in like the biological sciences. They have figured out how to use this ocean world's organisms and biology to their benefit. They're very good at genetic engineering, and they use that to heal themselves, to modify their own bodies. They use these things called click flies to communicate and store information. There are these click fly webs that can become molecular models for chemistry and all kinds of things like that. And it's all organic technology. They have this aversion to stone. So, there's nothing really inorganic on the planet. And they use this technology to try to manage and maintain a balance with the ecosystem on this world. And they live on these giant rafts made of some kind of plant-like material. To me, it kind of seemed like they were all these big wooden, I don't know if they were wood or not, but these giant plants that are rafts, and they have all these tunnels and things within the rafts. So we have this, this ocean ecosystem, these women that live on this planet, and they're pacifists. So they have a neighboring planet called Veladon. And these Valens, they are your typical society, patriarchal. And they have a protector. And this protector is in this story has kind of set his sights on Shora. And they're trying to control it. And, the sharers, they don't, they want to live life in their own way. They don't want to be controlled. They find that anything that hastens death, so killing, they're very averse to killing. So they see these Valens as being sick because they're death hasteners, and their life evolves around stone. So there are these two kind of not really competing cultures, and the only reason they are competing is because the Valens are trying to control the sharers and kind of impose their way of life on the sharers. When the sharers don't want to live this way, they want to they want to live in balance, or try to live in balance with their moon world. And they don't want to live in the ways that these Valens do. They don't wear clothes. They're all women, and things like that. So there's a lot of conflict in this with this story. It kind of revolves around a few of the characters. There's a character named Spinel who is actually a Valen, and he gets brought to Shora, and there's kind of a story of him incorporating his life into becoming a sharer. So they will accept these other people into their society, but there's a lot of learning to do. These people that they accept have to kind of change their way of life, and they work up to, they have to take a self name, and the self names are like one of the main characters is Merwin the Impatient, and there's Nissi the Deceiver, Lystra the Intemperate One. So these self names are kind of things that they are kind of negative about themselves, but they have to kind of work to improve that about themselves. So, I did enjoy this story. It was a bit slow at times, so I think ultimately I'm going to give it maybe a 3.5 out of 5. I did enjoy it. It wasn't the best novel I've ever read, but I think there's a lot to take away from this novel when it comes to like managing an ecosystem and maintaining a balance with the planet you live on. In this case, it's a moon, and kind of a way, like how do you resist an incoming force that's trying to occupy and control you? And they don't do it all through pacifism. So I think there's some, definitely a lot of relevance to today's society, and some things that readers could really learn and take away from this novel. So I will be recommending it overall. The next book I'm going to talk about is what I'm currently reading, and that is Schismatrix by Bruce Sterling. So there's actually 2 versions of this. There's Schismatrix, and then there's Schismatrix Plus. The Plus version is the novel plus all of the Bruce Sterling's short stories in his Shaper Mechanist universe, which is what this is set in. I've already read the Plus part of it, so I've read all the short stories. I think there are 4 or 5 of them. A couple of those stories have been made into the Netflix adaptation Love, Death, and Robots. So if you've seen the episodes Swarm and Spider Rose, I both really enjoyed those episodes and really enjoyed the stories that they're based on. So I've read the stories, getting ready to get started on the novel. The stories, I really did enjoy them. I think maybe one of them were just kind of okay, but the rest were really good. I can definitely see, if you're a fan of Alistair Reynolds, which I am definitely a fan of Reynolds, he's my favorite author, you can really see the influence on Reynolds from these stories, and I think maybe he's mentioned that before. So if you like Revelation Space, I think you're going to really like the Shaper Mechanist stories. And I haven't read the novel yet, so I can't say how good that is, but the short stories were really good. I recommend reading them. In this universe, Bruce calls the Shaper Mechanist. It's kind of not really that far of a future. It's set in like 2200, 2300, where humans, they're out in the solar system, and there are these 2 factions, the Shapers, who are really into like genetically modifying their bodies and things like that. And then there's the Mechanist faction, which they have a lot of cybernetics and things like that. So if you've read Revelation Space, it's kind of reminds me of the Conjoiners in Revelation Space and the Ultras. So I can definitely see, like I said, where Reynolds was inspired by some of this. But in the Shaper Mechanist universe, we have these two factions, and then we have an alien race called the Investors. And the Investors are really interested in profiting and trade. So they kind of play the Shapers and Mechanists off of each other, just because the Investors want the best situation they can have, where they will profit off of trade. And they trade for information, jewels, all kinds of different things. And that's covered in, I think, at least 4 out of the 5 stories that I read had kind of involved the Investors a little bit. So it's a very interesting setup, very intriguing. There's some they're trying to terraform Mars in a couple of the stories, so there's that aspect to it. But yeah, really creative, fun, cool ideas in this set of stories. And I'll talk once I read the novel. I'll probably talk a little bit about that as well. I'm going to mention what's on my TBR. So I've decided I'm going to take a little bit of a break from science fiction. I do occasionally read other genres. And I'm debating right now on, I think I'm either going to read The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan, which is a trilogy. It's actually the 3rd book in a trilogy. It's a fantasy novel. So I'm thinking about reading that, or possibly a Stephen King novel. Maybe his new book, Never Flinch, or his one that came out last year I still haven't read, You Like It Darker. So I am a big fan of Stephen King, so I may go in one of those 2 directions. I won't, I'm not going to review those on this channel. I do prefer I think I'm going to keep this to science fiction for the most part. So, let me know if you, do you read outside of science fiction? Let me know in the comments. And if you want me to talk about other books that aren't sci-fi, please let me know, and maybe I'll consider that in the future. Thanks for tuning in to this week's video. Let me know if you've read A Door into Ocean or Schismatrix, or let me know what you plan to read, what's on your TBR. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.